guys ever hear the phrase, "there's levels to this"? Well, that's pretty much the motto of this entire video. Some of these guys are totally untrained, some have devoted years to the wrong martial arts, and some are just completely outclassed. Here's what happens when wannabes mess with fighters with genuine skill.
Alright, there he is right there.
The thing about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that there are no lucky wins. In boxing, sure, you could find a lucky punch, but if you're tangling with a trained grappler and you have no idea what you're doing, you're not going to accidentally choke him out. This dude was supposedly running his mouth the night before, claiming he could handle any grappler, and, well, as soon as this fight hit the mat, he was reversed, mounted, and tapped out like it was nothing. Clearly, this guy needed his slice of humble pie.
He tapped out!
What is it with these street fighters talking trash to fighters who are way better than them? Well, no matter what happened here, this guy was not winning this fight, and his attempts to get his opponent's head only made him turn up the intensity. When the combos started flowing, the punches began to land with increased force, eventually breaking this guy's will to continue. No matter how many of them we watch, we always love seeing these guys get dealt with, because let's be real, there's always going to be another idiot waiting in the wings, ready to step up to the plate.
That'll do it.
Putting a legitimately world-class, multi-discipline, mixed martial artist up against a totally untrained opponent is always going to be fun. And for the jackass star Steve-O, he found out just how many levels were between him and the former UFC Women's Bantamweight champion Holly Holm, when she proceeded to absolutely dominate him. This clip gets extra points for the presence of John Jones in the background, who's very clearly finding this all very entertaining. Holm's base skill set is actually boxing too. She was a multiple-time world champion who picked up wrestling and grappling later in her career and decided to move to mixed martial arts. But despite this, she was basically able to do whatever she wanted here to Steve-O, and she barely broke a sweat in the process.
Oh.
If you're looking for a comprehensive step-by-step breakdown of how to humble someone beyond any shadow of a doubt, look no further. Supposedly this dude called out the coach and called him old.
I'm not about to get too old to get a little bold and knock one of you chumps out cold.
But when it started, we got to see BJJ being put to great use systematically, as this guy found out the hard way just how little he knew about fighting. From getting pulled into guard to being easily dominated from mount, the final armbar was a mere formality and one final insult to this totally unprepared wannabe. He had no defense, no meaningful offense, no awareness of how to deal with any of his opponent's skill. Just a total rookie taking on a legitimately solid grappler. The lesson? Don't make the mistake of underestimating anyone who holds a coaching position in the fight game. They likely know exactly how to break you. What type of level-headed person walks into a BJJ gym and challenges a black belt to a roll, thinking that they're somehow going to win? Well, this guy did exactly that, strolling on into 10th Planet BJJ and asking a high-level grappler, "Can we break knuckles?" as if to say their fight might be intense. Of course, in the end, it didn't. This guy basically was able to do whatever he wanted to this total novice, forcing to tap within seconds of making contact. But just in case he didn't fully make his point, these guys reset one more time, and the BJJ black belt proceeded to totally dominate him and tap him one more time, just to be certain he got the full extent of the message. Look, if you're going to talk a big game and style yourself as a bully, you better have the ability to back it up. Because when this wannabe tough guy ended up in the ring with a genuinely skilled opponent, he fell apart. Those punches weren't even crazy hard, but they sapped all of the fight right out of him. Not a good look for this guy. Not at all.
What happened?
I'll have to start hitting in the head now though, because you're blocking your body, lad.
This one is just plain funny. Whether you like Paddy Pimblett as a fighter or not, you got to admit the guy's as likable as they come, especially within a sport as full to the brim with ego as MMA. Paddy took on a troll in this hilarious viral clip, inviting him over to the gym so he could show him a thing or two about fighting. And you gotta respect any guy who's willing to step in there with a top 20 lightweight and try to prove his worth. But this was a hopeful endeavor for this guy. He didn't have a hope in hell of dealing with Paddy's MMA skill set, even outside the grappling department where Pimblett is best. By the end, he was hobbling on one leg and then taken to the mat where he was easily pounded out with semi-hard but stinging punches from the baddie.
That's it, man. You're done.
Who knows why this backyard brawling promotion allowed this long-haired dude to fight in the first place, but supposedly he was just an onlooker who fancied his chances against a real fighter. And yeah, it didn't go well. A swift knockout and a firm reminder that you can't fake fighting skill. As far as we're concerned, the guy got just what he deserved. If you watch this channel often enough, you'll know that we're huge fans of Xiaodong, and we're always looking for new clips of his to bring to you. Xiaodong is a Chinese MMA fighter who challenges traditional martial artists to fights so he can prove that their fighting style is outdated, or in some cases, downright fake. He's made his career doing this, and ruffled so many feathers in China that he had his credit score docked to near unimaginable levels. But anyway, in this clash, Zhu has taken on yet another martial artist who very clearly doesn't know what he's doing, with a truly well-trained fighter in front of him. It only takes a short moment or two for Xiaodong to realize he's in no danger, closing the distance before dropping his opponent with a looping punch. From there, finishing him with a series of follow-up shots was a mere formality. These Muay Thai guys will take it very seriously if you storm into their gym and demand a fight. And for this wannabe tough guy street fighter, he really found himself outgunned in more ways than one with this matchup. Even though his opponent had a smile on his face the whole time, he had no problem dropping him with a big head kick. But this session wasn't over. No, not yet. He returned to his feet and proceeded to try to battle cry his way into hyping himself up. So the Muay Thai fighter push-kicked him low and immediately went up high again for the head kick knockout. Easy work. And he had absolutely no idea how simple it was to lead him into this trap. Chris Cyborg might be a 160-pound woman, or at least somewhere in that region at her fighting weight after she rehydrates. But she could easily beat up 99% of untrained dudes, maybe even more. Considering how few true knockout artists make it to the top level in women's MMA, Cyborg is right at the front of that pack. And when she took on this man, it was a truly one-sided affair. You could tell she wasn't going full strength either with her shots. But when she finally decided to close the show, her spinning back kick to the body, which was probably thrown at about 60% power, was enough to send this guy crumbling down to the canvas. Cyborg is just built different, a fighter who truly lives up to their nickname. The shirtless guy here is a self-described wushu master, although judging off his performance, we're not sure what to believe. But his opponent is easily able to gauge his distance from the get-go, totally avoided all incoming shots before laying him out with a clean two-piece, ending his night once and for all. This is the difference between someone who looks like they have decent punching form and a guy who actually knows how to fight. Sometimes these MMA fighters forget what they lose out on when they devote themselves to fighting in many different areas instead of just one. And for this dude, he challenged a boxing coach, telling him he could beat anyone in his gym using his MMA boxing skills. So he got up for a clash with this teenager and proceeded to get absolutely whooped by him. In the end, he was so badly beaten and gassed out that he could do little more than hold his hands up and admit he was wrong.
Don't turn your back.
You got that. They can't make it. Shit. No, I'll be honest with you.
We've seen worse reactions to getting humbled on this channel, so kudos to this guy. But man, you really gotta know your limits in the fight game. This was totally embarrassing. Let's go back to Xiaodong, this time for a fight against a Wing Chun fighter that he once again absolutely dominated in. Because let's be real, while Wing Chun is cool and has certain positives to it, in there with an MMA fighter, you're gonna realize real quick just how limited it is. Jiu was so unbothered by his opponent's danger levels, he practically let him open up with a bunch of punches, slapping in his face as he shrugged them off. Then came the punishment, and in classic Xiaodong fashion, he provided us with the type of statement victory that leaves nothing up for argument. He threw him around like he weighed nothing at all, landing punches at will, and eventually scored the finish with a flurry that forced the ref to step in.
No, I'm not. Everything's I used to be in the military. But
Yeah.
I'm a
What you doing?
Are you? So you know our buddies. We know a lot of Brian. I'm trying to come up, Brian.
There's nothing like seeing an overly confident wannabe fighter get humbled so cleanly that he also seems to find humor in the whole thing. And for this guy, who claimed to be a BJJ purple belt, he was absolutely schooled by this legit black belt, to the point where he actually farted while getting dominated. You just can't write this stuff.
That was quick. Come on.
And he ended up getting tapped several times, eventually accepting his shortcomings in a pretty good display of sportsmanship. But if we even need to point it out one more time, there are levels to this.
I like it. Taking your neck.
Ah, man.